While we're getting up my PowerPoint, I just wanted to say hi. My name is Sarah Snyder. 3 years ago, when the conference last met in person, I was sitting outside of the plenary area in the back of the room, just watching to decide if I wanted to apply for the position of treasurer. So you guys must have done something right. I decided to apply for the job, and it's been a lot of fun the last 3 years. Not sure if that's the right word.
Fun, come on.
Fun, yeah.
Fun, yes, yes.
You know, whenever I go to watch a movie, I have to sit at the very end until all the credits run out. And if you sit there and watch long enough and it gets past the grippers and it gets past the hairdressers, you get to the accountants. And so next time you're at a movie theater, just wait and then clap for them. We're an underrepresented crew. Wanted to start on the finance report, and I'm here representing the finance office as well as the Council on Finance and Administration. There are 3 of us from the finance office here this weekend, myself, Jean Nicholas, who is the conference benefits officer, and Lisa Adler, who does just about everything else in our office. She's the first person that you will get when you call our office, and she is out in the communications room, able to answer any questions that you might have. Feel free to stop by and say hi. Today, I want to cover 3 things in the 15 minutes that I have. And the first is the 2021 statistical information. We are very blessed to have Don Kramer, who has been a volunteer for 10 years, working with all of our churches to do the training, to help answer questions, and then to take the information that we have from over 450 churches and, like I say, take the data and make it into useful information. He is not able to be here with us today because he and his wife are expecting a baby any moment. And if it doesn't decide to come on its own, it is scheduled to arrive at midnight tonight via C-section. So hopefully within the next 24 hours, we'll have a brand new Methodist baby. Mm-hmm. Then we'll talk about how we ended up 2021, and then we'll talk about the 2023 budget. My understanding is I get to present it today. And then during the weekend, if there are other things that come up that may affect the budget, we'll have an implications meeting, we'll talk about it. And then on Sunday, we'll have time to answer questions and approve the actual budget. If you have any questions between now and then though, I'm gonna usually be at the back of the room at the communications table. So please feel free to stop by and ask any questions that you have. My button's not moving. Oh, there we go. All right, the 2021 statistical information. First, just a huge thank you to everyone in here or everyone at your church who worked on the statistical information. We keep saying that it's critically important that we have you fill it out, and so we are grateful that you did. We know that it is time consuming and hard to gather all the information, and especially in 20 and 21, it's been difficult to track some of the information, but we appreciate what you've done. And I want to share some of that information with you. And again, this came from Don. I'm just stealing his slides to present today. His full report is on video and it will be available on the website, conference materials, and then on the finance page as well tomorrow. It's about 13 minutes if you'd like to see the whole thing. There we go. Okay, this one, I'm not sure if you can see all the detail, but you can see about second from the bottom is Wisconsin. This is actually the 2020 information, but it summarizes the North Central jurisdiction. So this is the most recent information we have available because the 21 information is still being reviewed, tested by GCFA, and we won't get that back until July. But it'll show on here the church count, how many churches we have, the number of members, average attendance, and you can just see how Wisconsin fits within our conference or our jurisdiction. We're one of the smaller conferences. So as you hear any discussion about jurisdictional changes, these are some of the information that they look at. And so that's why we feel it's very important to get the information correct. Is there some place I should point this to have it work the best? What? Okay, great, thank you. So just to tell you a little bit about the data that we have. So we say there's about 446 churches that filled out information. That number kind of changes because during the year, there's some that close, there's some that open, there's some that merge. And so it's about 446. We were grateful that everybody followed the lead and the encouragement by their district superintendents. We had 359 churches, or over 80%, get them done by February 28th. We had a couple more who thought they had them done, but didn't hit the submit button on time. So we had those. We only had 4% of our churches, 18 churches that did not submit any information. So we were going to keep trying that. You know that this year there were a lot of warnings that came up, and errors are things you absolutely have to fix. Warnings are ones you just have to tell us why it increased or decreased. Most of those were due to PPP loans or people coming back into the church and having in house worship again. But all of those 1,400 warnings, Don needed to go through and make sure we had an answer for them. There we go. All right, thank you. So this one is membership trends. And as you'll see, it's pretty consistently going downward in membership over the years that we've seen. So this is the first year that we have dropped below 50,000 in members. So that can be your goal for next year. It'd be nice to see this go back up again. This is a summary of, I want to say Schedule 3, I think, is identifying land and buildings. Many of you use church mutual values for your land and buildings, which keep going up in value. So even though our church membership has gone down, we have not really decreased the land and buildings value. In fact, it went up a little bit. Liquid assets, meaning cash and investments, actually went up. Would imply that churches are doing okay. Debt went down. That's that line, the debt secured by physical assets or mortgages, those went down. And the other debt, the big change there is that many churches at the end of 2020 had a PPP loan that hadn't been forgiven yet. And then in 2021, that was forgiven. So that's the big change there. This is an interesting one. On Schedule 2 is where you identify the lead pastor, the associate pastor, and what their salaries were. And so some of this changes could be in total based upon the number of lead pastors we had and what their level was, but about 1% increase in total salaries. The associate pastors went down. Reimbursements stayed about the same. And then other staff salaries went down a little bit. We know that some of you have not brought back everybody in 21, or maybe you didn't bring them back until later on in the year. This is an interesting one about local church income. We ask you to divide between what was pledged and other non-pledged income. And you can see that there's really has changed there. So maybe that means you're not doing as many unpledged drives, or maybe people are not pledging, but they're still giving. But overall, the total was up. Unidentified givers stayed about the same. Looks like there are other fundraising ways that churches, I think, got very creative in the last few years about what they could do. And the non-UMC grants in 2020 were primarily, again, the PPP loans. This is an interesting one that looks at membership and number of churches by district. So the one on the left is looking at the number of churches and what district they are in. So of the 446 churches, they're actually pretty well distributed at about 20% per district. But on the right-hand side, you can see the number of members are actually more in the southern two districts. So that represents over 50% of our members are in the southeast and southwest districts. And this one, of the 446 churches, 50% receive some kind of rent as their income, which is interesting. I think many of you have looked at renting out your parsonage if it is unoccupied. You've looked at your parking lot. You've looked at renting out your building for other use. And I think that's a positive thing to look at, is that you are looking for ways that your church can become used more. You're opening it up to the more to the community and allowing people to come in. Interesting, the other one's about having community outreach programs that only 65% of our churches do. I would think that might be more like 100% that you would have some kind of community outreach, small groups, Christian formation groups. So might try to get that number up higher in terms of outreach community. All right, that was the highlights of the statistical reports. Again, thank you very, very much, because we use this information, especially as we move forward after this conference, after the budget is approved. I'll be calculating out your 2023 apportionments, and it's based upon your 2021 statistical reports. Okay, next up for the 2021 financial results. These are shown on page 40 through 54 of your conference material. There's a brief kind of a Word document that I summarize how we did in 21 and the budget assumptions for 23. And then there's also just a summarized budget that's 2 pages and a very detailed budget that is the rest of it if you wanted to see how each committee has budgeted. Before I get into apportionments and budgeted, I need to say thank you again. It is amazing to me, or heartfelt, to see how many donations come in from churches, small and large, that are outside of the apportionment program. We got money over $1 million covering 125 different programs that your churches, your members have decided to donate to. We are just a clearinghouse, and we send that money right back out the following month. So whatever comes in January, we send it off in February. A lot of it goes to GBGM, or Board of Global Ministries programs, to any one of the advanced specials that they have. But we also have money that goes out to Wisconsin Council of Churches for immigration assistance. The Bolivia project was through GBGM to Haiti. We also every month send money to the Children's Services, the Northcott Neighborhood House. Sometimes the checks that go to someplace are as low as $25. Sometimes it's a couple $100,000. So just thank you for all of that support that you provide, both in Wisconsin and worldwide. Now we'll go into the 2021 results. So we had budgeted gross apportionments of 7.9 million and net apportionments of 6.3. And I'll go into a little bit what those both mean. So we thought that we would collect 79% of the apportionments. What we actually did was collect 77%. So we were under budget on our revenue by about $161,000, which I thought, considering 2021, was pretty good. Okay, this one is looking at the expenses. And if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, we were actually under budget in expenses by $342,000. So we were under in revenue, but way under, almost twice as much under in expenses by each of the categories. Some of that was we had higher distributions from our foundation accounts than we expected. Our DSs kept their travel down. Many of our meetings were via Zoom. But we continued to fund all of our major programs, all of our staffing, but we kept our other costs down, not knowing how 2021 would turn out. So the positive result is that we had a bottom line of $180,000. Our apportionment stayed strong during the year, very consistently. We were able to pay our global connections to GCFA at 97%. Because we paid them at the same amount we collected. Our apportionments was 97%. As I said, we kept all of our employees, our programming, but we really tried to watch our expenses every time we could. We did fund all of our new churches as proposed by the new ministry board. And I looked at, in your budget, you'll see under various departments, less foundation funds. In total, if you look at all of those together, we had about $500,000 in distributions from foundation accounts. We are blessed that people in the past donated to restricted accounts at the foundation, and that we are reaping those benefits every year. So anybody from the foundation who helps manage that, if Tom Schaefer is here, or Crystal Goodger, or Rick Sharan, thank you very much. They had a very good years in the past, and so that was very helpful. That's the end of 2021. So we'll look at the 2023 budget now. So just to talk about how we do the budget process, and we'll continue to look at ways to do it, but the way we did it this year, we took the 2021 financial results along with the 22 budget that had been presented and gave it to all of the committees, the staff, the cabinet to look at. They all took a look at it, sent back to me what they wanted their committee's budget to be, or sent it to M&O for Sue to take a look at. The joint board met to determine what the health insurance rates would be for next year, as well as the pension, the CPP rate, all of those that we needed. And then personnel approved the overall budget increase and the staffing. Then CF&A puts all of those pieces together and tries to make them work. And this year we were able to keep the budgets as requested by each of the committees. And then we work with the apportions and try to analyze what do we want gross apportionments to be, what do we want net apportionments to be to best work. So that's what we're presenting to you now. Okay, the term gross apportionments is the number that we say we are going to plug into this schedule to then allocate to all of the churches based upon your 21 statistical information. The net apportionments are the amount that we think that we are going to collect, knowing that some churches are not able to pay in full, or some will pay, just a certain percentage. So we have estimated that this year to be at 81.6. We talked about this quite a bit, what we should be able to do, what we could do. And so what we've decided to do for 2023 is lower the gross apportionment that will be allocated. So we're hoping that most churches will see it stay the same or decrease in their overall apportionment. But we are really going to work with some of our churches who have not been paying to see how we can help encourage that, either through additional training, working with them on stewardship, a variety of ways. But we feel like we have asked our churches who have been paying 100% every year, we don't want to increase that anymore. Okay, so as I said, the CF&A committee spent quite a bit of time talking about what is the appropriate amount for gross versus net. We'll be happy to answer any questions about that. But our goal was to lower the gross apportionments. Right now for 2022, our operations are going according to budget. Our apportionments are coming in as we projected. So we're confident at the moment. Can you go back to the last one? Nope, I got it. Thanks. Okay, just some of the bigger ones. As you can see, probably in your church too, the biggest expense that we have is salaries and benefits. And so that goes through our personnel committee and we get the benefit information from joint board. They are estimating that health insurance costs will go up 7.7%. So that's one of the biggest raises. The only change that we have in staffing is an increase in communication hours. But most committees kept their budgets the same. We have increased legal fees due to a number of different issues. Our percentage from GCFA actually went down this year by $170,000. So that's nice. And we did include $50,000 for the third year for our goal of radical inclusion and racial justice. This is the budget allocation, how it goes to the 5 different departments. This is very consistent with prior years. As I said, many of our departments kept their budgets the same. The number that you see there that's negative, we get about $6,000 of interest income on our checking account. As you all know, it doesn't pay much interest these days. And thus ends the reading of the annual budget. If anybody would like for me to repeat it, I'd be glad to. You can go to the next one. Mm-hmm. If you want to borrow that, I did borrow that from another conference treasurer. So go back one. Backward. Oh, there's one after that one. Mm-hmm. I think.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
Oh, right there.
Okay. Yeah. All right. CF&A committee members.
I have a couple more. I just wanted to thank our Council on Finance and Administration. Their names were up there just a minute ago. And then these are the Finance Department. So there's me, Jean Nicholas, Lisa Adler, and then David Hegg, who's our accountant. And then Lynn Lupkeman is also in our Finance Department. She's the archivist, but we often track her down or have her track down information on property for us. I think I have one back there. And this is just if you have some questions, you're always free to call us. We have a section on our website, on the conference website. Please look in the finance area. We have a lot of information for you as treasurers, pastors, on local church finances. If you ever have a question though, please give us a call. We love to answer questions. We have the budget material on there. We have the statistical information. And as we get into training, we'll have those that you can sign up on there as well. And again, if you have any questions, I'll be back at the communications table. If you are, if you happen to have lost any of your 100% paid tags, we have had a couple of churches ask about that. We can certainly replace them for you, and Lisa has them. She's that away. Lisa Adler can get one for you if you're missing one. Also, if you have not tried out paying electronically but would like to learn, she can show you how easy it is to do. I think that's it.
All right, thank you, Sarah. So give our hands to her and her leadership.